So welcome everyone to our Investigate Industries and Internships I3 event for entertainment, media, and marketing. My name is Malika Samtani and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm joined by my colleagues Giselle Jose and Lauren Opgenorth from the USC Career Center. During this next hour, you will hear from some amazing employers who will share their industry insights with each of you. We'll be recording this session and will be available on our YouTube channel later today. Additionally, feel free to use the live captioning that's available on Zoom if you need it. This is also one of 3 educational panels we are hosting this month that then leads to our Brazen networking event on January 27th from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m., where you get to meet one-on-one with all of these amazing employers and learn about their internship opportunities and ask even more questions about their industry. Lauren will be sharing the registration information in the chat for you all to access that networking event. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end of the session, so please feel free to drop any of your questions in the chat or use the Q&A function. We'll now get started and we'll have our panelists introduce themselves. So I'll call each of you, but please feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization. And I'll go in order of my Zoom boxes. So we'll start first with Nidhi.
Well, hello. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. So my name is Nidhi Shah. I work for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Most of you might know what that is, but we're the organization primarily known for organizing and running the Oscars. So I hope all of you tune in. And my role is I'm a senior director. I oversee our Academy Gold Inclusion, Talent Development, and Alumni programs. And so I'll put in the chat too a website you can go to. There's a few different programs for students, for young professionals pursuing careers in film. Specifically today, I think what would be relevant to most of you is our Gold Rising Internship Enhancement program. So we take in about 100 students each year. We give them an enhancement, there are internship opportunities, and then we give them a 360 view of film. And even for those of you that are in the film programs here, or if you're even not in the film programs here at USC, it's a beneficial program. There's networking, there's opportunity to, there's workshopping, there are opportunities for access to Academy members in different functional areas for those career paths that you are choosing. So I'm really, really happy to be here. I'm a Trojan, a graduate from, gosh, it dates me, 2004. But really, really excited to be here. So thank you all.
Thank you. And the Gold program is awesome. I did it in 2015. So students definitely apply for it. And we'll start next with Greta.
Hi, everyone. My name is Greta. I am a senior account executive at Star Power on the influencer and entertainment marketing team. Star Power is, taking a step back, part of Real Chemistry. Some people might know it as W2O across, some of the career fairs from the past. Now it's known as Real Chemistry. And it's a healthcare advertising and marketing agency, historically specializing in strategic comms and PR. But over the last few years, the company really has grown a lot, over 2,000 employees, and it has acquired a variety of different companies. Star Power is one of them. So now, its services span across a variety of different spaces, including influencer marketing, entertainment marketing, advertising, PR, so many different things. But specifically, my company, Star Power, is an entertainment marketing and pop culture strategy agency. We counsel brands and really connect them on their social strategy, but anything really related to the entertainment space. And we, design really strategic and very custom campaigns and follow our clients, brands that span, from Estee Lauder, Colgate, variety of different ones. So definitely very excited. We have a 10-week paid internship program across Real Chemistry. And, there's a specific one for Star Power as well. So definitely happy to, excited to chat more about that.
Wonderful. Thank you. And we'll jump to Kim.
Unmuting here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kim Cutable. I'm a producer, author, and member of the Producers Guild of America. And our company, Me by Design, is a leadership consulting firm that works with lifestyle brands, specifically interior designers. We have a lot of interior designers on our roster. We produce also a podcast called Voice Lessons, which is about creativity, visibility, and the way women lead. And we often feature women who find themselves maybe coming out of another aspect of production into an unexpected leadership role. And we've been doing that for 2 seasons. We're about to enter season 3. And we have a variety of production internships surrounding the podcast and supporting. We've had a lot of great students from different schools participate.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. We'll jump to Emily.
Hi, great to meet you all. My name is Emily Raza. I'm the founder and CEO of Worth & Crawford. We specialize in brand consulting and social media strategy for purpose-driven athletes, change makers, brands or organizations that empower those individuals. I graduated from USC's Master's in Strategic PR program, so I'm always super happy to help current students any way that I can. And I offer a paid internship every semester, primarily in social media strategy, but also open to providing different internships in different areas based on the student's particular interest.
Loving all the Trojans on the call. This is always amazing. So we'll jump next to Danny.
Also a Trojan. I like what Emily had to say. I want to do that, by the way. My name is Danny Greenberg. I graduated in 1991 from USC, so I'm a proud Trojan. I'm an agent at William Morris Endeavor, WME. I co-run the motion picture and television literary units, so I oversee roughly 80 agents in the motion picture and television space, representing primarily writers and directors. And very happy to be here, and hopefully I can get you guys as much information as possible about what it is that I do and we do, and how we can get you excited about being an agent one day.
Yes, thank you. So we'll go next to Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I also support Kim on the podcast. So just a little bit more about the podcast is we're featuring women who have a goal to build social, spiritual, and financial wealth for themselves. So we're really just looking for interns who are supportive of that goal. We're an all-female team. And we also have some exciting opportunities around PR and sponsorship, along with just more helping produce the podcast and the social media that also supports our goals within that as well.
Thank you so much. And we'll go next to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yu Rankin. I'm a senior account executive at Intertrend Communications. So we're actually a multicultural advertising agency, but we specialize in targeting Asian Americans, but we also do like general market work as well. And then we're actually the largest Asian consumer-focused advertising agency and media planning and buying agency in North America. And then some of our current notable clients are like Toyota, TD Ameritrade, Nationwide, and we've had past clients such as Disney and Universal Studios Hollywood. And then we do have an annual summer internship program that we're currently kind of looking for right now. And the great thing is, it's a great first step into marketing and advertising, and we have a plethora of positions in, copywriting, graphic design, media, strategy. So it's a great first step. And then also am a USC Marshall graduate, but in 2016.
Yes, loving, again, the Trojans. The Trojan Network is real, so this is always great. We'll go next to Nathan.
Thanks so much. Great to be here with you all. I'm Nate Miller. I'm the founder and CEO of Miller Inc. We're a full service strategic communications agency. We have about 20 folks here in LA. We work across 5 different verticals: public affairs, technology, nonprofit, crisis management, and social impact. We work across earned, owned, and paid media. So kind of all the different tools that you have today to communicate and how they all work together and are integrated. We also have a creative services network that extends globally. And we have a sister agency here in LA called Ethos Giving, which works with companies on their corporate social responsibility efforts and social impact efforts. So if you're interested in either of any of those, we generally have 1 or 2 paid internship positions year round that are really substantive. We treat our interns just like we would an entry-level employee, and we give them a lot of responsibility and opportunity. We've had so many great interns from USC, and a number of members of our team are Trojans. I'm from the school across the way, but but nobody's perfect. So great to be here with you all.
It's okay. It's all in the same city. And we'll close out with Ian.
Hi, everybody. Ian Rifkin. I'm not a USC grad. I went to school in New York. But I've spoken a ton at USC with students over the years. I co-lead US recruiting at Endeavor, which is the parent company to WME. So I do work with Danny, who you'll hear from shortly. And Endeavor is a large entertainment, media, sports, and fashion holding company. So we own and operate different businesses across that landscape, including William Morris Endeavor, our talent agency. We also own a majority stake in the UFC. We have a creative and experiential agency called 160 over 90. We have a handful of different fashion and live events businesses. We do have a global paid internship program that we run over the summer that we're in the process of planning out for our return to our in-person internships this coming summer. It will be an 8-week paid program that will run from June through July. And we are planning on hosting probably a couple dozen, maybe up to 25 or so interns specifically within our talent agency across different departments, including motion picture and television, digital, sports, music, and personal appearances. So if the idea of working in a talent agency, and if you do have an interest in pursuing that space after graduation, that WME is a really great place to start. So I do want to encourage everybody, if you are interested in speaking with the recruiting team specifically about the internship program at WME this coming summer, we will all be attending the networking sessions taking place next week for I3. So I'm happy to answer any questions and connect with everybody offline, but I'm really just happy to be here and excited to talk about, or excited for you all to hear about Danny and his background.
Yes, echoing what Ian said, you all are going to learn so much from everyone on this panel. So we're going to jump right into some of our industry-specific questions. So can each of you share, why did you choose this industry, and share a little bit about your career path to your current role? And whoever wants to start, you can feel free to jump in or raise a hand.
I can go. This is Greta. So I kind of happened into influencer marketing a little bit by chance, but I do feel like this is like a general piece of advice I would give to anyone that's still in school and is not really certain about what they want to do. I always say try different things, because you never know, that one thing might spark an interest or something that you didn't even know that existed or that you would be interested in. So I think at the beginning, especially after graduation, trying new things is always the way to go. That's kind of what I did. I went to Boston College. I graduated and I wasn't really sure. I generally knew that I wanted to work in marketing, work with brands, really be involved with strategy, but I didn't really know specifically what. And I got a great opportunity right after graduation to work in a more traditional marketing company. It was doing print and digital, but the digital banners and stuff like that in store. I also grew up in Italy. So to me, it was a completely different world. Honestly, Italy does things very, very differently. So I was like, you know what, let's try it out. So I started with doing that. And I realized that wasn't exactly, my path, but it did teach me, what I didn't want to do. But it also made me, it gave me those initial skills, account management skills, things that you don't get the opportunity to do in college. And then you started reading back then about influencers and, Instagram and all these platforms popping up. And I started really reading about them. And I became very interested in this new world that at the time was just kind of developing under my eyes. So I thought, wow, this is a really interesting market. I really want to learn more about it. And browsing on the internet, I found an internship opportunity in a small agency in New York. And that's kind of how it started. I started there as an account coordinator. I worked myself up there. I worked there for a couple of years, really doing, it was more individual one-off campaigns. So really becoming very knowledgeable at the space, learning what influencer marketing really was all about, and learning more about the platforms and stuff. And then 2.5 years ago, I got an opportunity to work at Star Power. And, honestly, it's been one of the greatest working experiences of my life, because it's such a great organization, and it's giving me the opportunity to really manage accounts and be involved. It's such a great satisfaction when you follow the growth and strategy of the different brands that you work with. So long story short, definitely try different things and see how things go.
Yes, I love what you said too, that it's also okay to learn what you don't like. And that's really what we're always trying to let students know, is that experiences are transferable as long as you're able to tell your story, be curious, find your passions, and a lot of different opportunities are going to be able to present themselves as you seek them. I know, Danny, you were unmuted, so I'll let you jump in there.
Sure. It's interesting. My path started when I graduated. I was an undergraduate real estate finance major, and this was the early 90s. And so coming out of school, I was still in that stage of feeling that whatever it is you learned and whatever you studied had to translate to what it is that you ultimately, did professionally. And by accident, that business was in a lull and there really wasn't a great opportunity there. And so Disney was recruiting pretty heavily graduate and undergraduate business majors to get into the company at the time. This was kind of a Michael Eisner mandate at the time when he was the chairman at the Walt Disney Company. And so I took a job as a junior financial analyst estimating box office grosses in the marketing and distribution area of Disney. And it was just kind of a cold call opportunity to go get a job and to get a gig. And for me, I was interested in doing it because I was kind of trading my analytical skills coming out of school for my kind of like inherent passion just for movies and television, because I was a fan, although I didn't have a real interest at the time in getting into that business necessarily, but the opportunity provided itself for me and there I went. And at the time, Disney was very focused on estimating box office grosses, as were all the studios. And to make a long story short, there was a great opportunity for me to get into the marketing space because Dick Cook, who at the time was the chairman, or at least was the head of marketing and distribution, he bifurcated the marketing divisions at Disney and had in-theater marketing and then the traditional marketing that you see when you see a movie sold in bus shelters and on billboards and TV and radio. And so I was covering 2,500 theaters west of Nebraska, and he invented this new job for 6 of us that covered the entire country. And I basically went on the road giving presentations about theater to different theater circuits about upcoming Disney product. And for me, it was just a great opportunity to learn the business, get out there, talk about all the stuff that Disney was doing. I was fortunate to get the opportunity. But while all of that was happening, I was kind of channeling my real passion, which evolved over those 2 years, and that was to become an agent. And so there was an opportunity for me to go into the mailroom at ICM at the time and kind of take a step back. And that's kind of the message I'd send to everybody, which is, getting your feet wet in any business is a great opportunity for anybody just to kind of like learn and grow and kind of like root yourself in find what your passion is over the first couple of years coming out of school, because those first couple of years really aren't about what it is that you're going to do 10, 15 years down the road. It's going to be about learning and kind of like finding what it is that you're excited about doing. And for me, reading the trades, watching movies, watching television, and just kind of educating myself about the business, I recognized pretty quickly I wanted to be an agent. I wanted to be on the business side of this business, and I wanted to make deals, and I wanted to work with artists. And I never would have known that coming out of school. And candidly, I probably had a little bit of a post-college ego coming out of school, because going into a mailroom at an agency and making not a lot of dough wasn't something that I was probably as excited about at the time. But I realized 2 years later that's what I really wanted to do. So I took a big step back financially, went into the mailroom at ICM at the time, and then kind of worked my way up. And it's now been 25 years since. And it's been a great run, and it's, the business has evolved, and we can get into more of that later. But for me, I think the message was, I took a job to learn and then found my way 2 years later, and then grounded myself in a career that I was passionate about, and off I went.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny. And I think just that note of we should all be lifelong learners and open to anything that comes our way is huge. Like we're always telling students, that's what you're in school for. You're here to learn, you're here to grow. And I think it's great to hear that it just also resonated with your career as time went on. And we'll go next to Nathan, and then we'll go to our next question.
Great. So I had definitely an unconventional career path. I graduated at my master's in public policy. I thought I wanted to go into the national security space, work somewhere like the FBI or the CIA, and had done all of my coursework there in that area. This was kind of in the post 9/11 period when there was a lot of kind of funding and interest in that. And I randomly, I had internships in some interesting jobs early on in that space, but I got an opportunity at a boutique public affairs, public relations agency here in LA. They paid a little better, And I was like, let's just see this for a couple of years. And I went into that role and learned this whole other field that I had never even imagined that I would be interested in. I didn't have a comms background in school. I'd always been a good writer and interested on the writing side of communications. And then from there, I was able to get a job in 2010 as the chief speechwriter for Israel's mission to the United Nations and the communications director there. And I ran, and that was really a transformative opportunity for me. I was 25 at the time and was running a team of 4 or 5 people. And because of, it's a foreign country with not a lot of native speakers of English, so I was a speechwriter there and created a whole new set of opportunities and experience. And I did that for 3 years. And in 2013, based on my previous experience, I thought, I had the kind of idea that maybe I could create my own agency. I saw how rapidly communications was changing at the time. I joked, like in 2008, I set up the Dodgers' first Facebook page and was explaining to their management what this crazy thing called Facebook is and why they should care about it. And it was sort of like of that era. And I saw also at the UN, when I started in 2010, the diplomats there were saying, the social media stuff is irrelevant. Susan Rice actually made a joke once. She said, I don't do diplomacy by IQ. And then she was like really big on Twitter by the time I left. And I said, I think there's like really something happening in this space, and somebody who comes from who has a fresher, younger perspective just on how this stuff works and how it can be integrated. And that was really the whole idea of our firm, was to create an integrated approach to communications that brings together kind of the more traditional messaging, media, earned media, and kind of more digital savvy, and bringing those tools together to reach audiences. So I kind of hung my own shingle and grew really slow and slogged it out for a number of years, and then started to grow really fast. And so I guess my message for my story is like, really believe in your ability to do whatever it is that you want to do. I was 28 when I started my agency. If I knew then what I know now about how hard it is to actually start and grow and be successful in a business, I probably never would have done it. But I think it's like, our team is fairly, it's all folks in their 20s, 30s, some early 40s. And like, it's people who are, who have fresh perspective, and that's really valuable in the market. And I think, you should really believe in your ability to do big things, even if you're just starting out.
Thank you for that. I think students always like to hear that, their ideas and insights are always appreciated in these spaces. And especially when it comes to your internships, they are going to be heard, and you welcome creativity and new ideas, but also to learn a lot from each of you. So we're going to go on to our next question. And this is a big one, but for each of your industries, what are some of the challenges and benefits within your industry and to work in your industry? Maybe we can start with somebody who hasn't struck. Nithi, yes.
Go. So speaking of the entertainment industries, film specifically, and I'm sure Ian and Danny can piggyback off of what I say. It's a really, really exciting industry. And so I think some of the challenges are, there are a lot of folks clamoring to work in this industry. So it's really competitive. It is tough in that sense. And it's tough too in the sense of there are a lot of different types of personalities, and it's really, really exciting and rewarding and working with so many different types of talent. But you've got creatives that have a certain way of thinking, and you've got business executives in the industry that have a certain way of thinking. You've got some folks in below the line careers like cinematographers and editors, and they all have this great creative mindset, and they're different ways of thinking. And so it's being able to, I don't know if that part is necessarily a challenge, but really getting up to speed on learning how to work with those personalities. But again, I think the biggest challenge is a lot of folks are clamoring in. So figuring out what is that niche for you, what is going to make you stand out as an applicant, as someone who wants to work in film. We get a lot of applicants and students that are like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to work in film since I was 5 years old. I'm like, raise your hand in the room if that's you. And that's fantastic. And that could be some of us in this room as panelists as well. But then go a step further. What is it about you that's going to make you stand out? How is your passion really oozing out? Demonstrate what it is that really says that you're living and breathing what film and entertainment is. And then on the flip side, I would say the benefit is it's a fantastic time to pursue a career in entertainment and film specifically. And again, I think Ian and Danny can piggyback off of this. The industry as a whole, all the organizations are really putting their best foot forward and trying to be unique and outside of the box and more inclusive on their hiring practices, on being more open in that network and open to to everyone, as far as, you know, getting your foot in the door. And, you know, the challenge being that there isn't necessarily one straight path. You heard Danny's story and other folks' story too. There's not one straight path to get specifically into film, and that hasn't changed yet. But a lot of the organizations are creating programs, ours is an example, to help get your foot in the door and create programs to help you continue to rise in your career trajectory there. And so, not to toot our horn, but Academy Gold is one of those. I know a lot of the studios, a lot of the agencies have similar programs that they've really, really enhanced to do that. And so the benefit is, if you do have an interest in this area, there is no better time I would say in the past like century to get into this industry. So good luck to you guys.
Yeah, I would give it to you a little bit through the lens of, obviously I'm going to give it to you through the lens of being an agent. But one of the things that I think is really exciting about this particular career is if the entertainment industry as a whole is of interest, you know, being an agent is like being the hub of a wheel, you know, and I'm not talking about the end game of ultimately becoming an agent. I'm talking about just the day you start in the mailroom, the day you start to learn, once you become an assistant, once you become a trainee and work your way up. You're going to learn about organization. You're going to learn about how to sort of like calibrate your thoughts and where, you know, what ultimately you're trying to do. You're going to work for different agents along the way and see the different personalities. You're going to recognize that what it is that we do is we speak to the lawyers, we speak to the producers, we speak to the studio execs, and we manage the talent that creates the content. And so as agents, you know, once you ultimately become one or learn along the way to ultimately become one, you're going to walk away with incredible skills of how to be organized, how to play chess mentally, how to manage, you know, challenging personalities within the building and outside of the building. And, you know, like one of my former bosses said to me when I was an assistant, you know, being a really, really good agent is like, and being a really, really good assistant is like being in the eye of the storm, because it's all going around you, and you want to be in this environment where you can create some peace and some order. And so, you know, when I came into it, I didn't know for sure that I wanted to be an agent. I thought I did based on what I've read and what I've heard. But what I found along the way is that I learned these skills, and I had great networking opportunities as a result of simply just being in the building, because peers of mine were getting promoted and moving forward, and other peers of mine were becoming production assistants and, you know, going to work for studios, and then, you know, making a connection through one of the agents directing clients and becoming a production executive for that particular director's production company. So there were just so many different tentacles that I had access to coming up, and that one would have access to coming up, that it really gave me a great broad perspective of, you know, the entertainment industry as I ultimately calibrated myself and made that decision. I'm going to go for it. I ultimately want to become an agent. So that's something that, you know, in terms of our business, specifically what it is that I do and we do at WME, that I found to be really, really helpful and really, really enticing, candidly.
Thank you so much, Danny. For time's sake, we're going to go to Emily and then Kim, and then we're going to shift over to the internship side to hear from all of you. So Emily, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on this from the sports perspective, because my experience has been in working for sports teams as well as sports agencies. And I think there's many challenges that a lot of times, I guess the excitement for interns working for a sports team or a sports agency kind of gets overlooked. And so on the sports side, specifically working for a team, definitely that work-life balance and that schedule of working for a sports team is such a grind that so many people don't anticipate. For example, it's just kind of funny with I work in baseball primarily. My husband actually works in basketball operations for the Clippers, and our work-life balance, as you can imagine, is very much dictated by basketball games, by baseball games. When we chose to get married was only like a 3-month window between the, not even really end of baseball season and his basketball season. And so there's so many things that people who work in sports, their lives are dictated by their schedules. I'm sure too, for someone like an agent like Danny, like his schedule is dictated by what's on his clients' calendars or things like that. And I think a lot of times you don't really realize that until you're in it. And as far as on the sports agency side, a lot of that, again, is that work-life balance, that time management, because the expectation to provide, top-notch client services is, the main goal. And at the end of the day, when you're working for people, you want to do the best job that you can. And for me, when that was at the sports agency, that meant, yeah, I oversaw PR and social media for my clients. But at the end of the day, if they needed me to help them send flowers to their wife, or if they needed me to help them get into their spring training housing, that was something that I had to step up to do. And whether that was a text message at 9 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm responding to that, and I'm responsible for making sure that my client gets the support that they need. And so a lot of times I think, again, just that glitz and glamour of certain industries like this get students in the door, but then they don't actually anticipate all of the work and schedule that comes with it. And then I will say, for benefits, now that I've started my own company, I definitely feel like my benefits have expanded in the fact that I can dictate my own schedule. I can choose my team. I can choose my clients. In general, just serving others and helping others pursue their passions and use their platform for a greater good is something that, to me, is a huge benefit of working in the industry and service that I do.
I'll piggyback on what Emily's saying, just in terms of content creation and being an entrepreneur, because my background originally was as a producer working on different productions and for different talent, helping them to create, vehicles for themselves. And what is wonderful about this moment is having direct access to your audience as a creator. So being able, and you see somebody like Issa Rae as an example, being able to create a show that's on YouTube that develops into a deal. And so from my perspective, there's such freedom in not being inside of the organization. And I know that when I was beginning as a woman and as a woman of color, a lot of my opinions were quite frankly different and maybe divergent and not necessarily on point for what the organizations were wanting to do. And so having the freedom inside of my own business to create content, to build an audience, to actually monetize that audience, and then to make impact from a service perspective. So there's content that I created, and I was in that world of film and film festival, and I had a couple of films that kind of went around in the festival circuit, and but running my business and being an entrepreneur, which is very much what our podcast is about, is that next iteration, because it takes the work beyond the container of like the film or the television to the mission. And it's helping us to reach the audience and make the impact, which is fundamentally what we're trying to do. And I think one of the downsides of being an entrepreneur, and it's something you can navigate, is mindset. Right? So it's navigating the ups and downs of, now it is all on me, in a way that, I could be inside of an organization producing content for them and making money for them, all, different networks, and being like, they're making a lot of money, I'm not making a lot of money. And then now it is on me. And now we do very well as a company, but that does take emotional discipline, and it does take cultivating a circle of not only clients who we can serve, but also of people who are in our corner, cheerleaders, right? And so what I'll say is, if you are an independent sort of filmmaker, kind of maverick person, visionary, and you want to do your own thing, this is a really amazing time to do it. And you don't necessarily need, don't worry about the gatekeepers. Find the guardians for your work. Find the guides.
Thank you so much, Kim, and for each of you for just sharing your perspective on each of your industries, because I think students can do so much research online and really do all the, website Google searches to see what's out there. But I think to hear it directly from people that have gone through the experience, what each of your unique career paths looks like, gives a lot of insight to our students. So switching over to what our students are hoping to gain and what they can do to really stand out by entering your industry. what are some of the qualities you seek in ideal interns? And then I'm going to add on to that, what are some of those hard and soft skills that students should work on to thrive in your industry? Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, we want people who are really coming and, you know, have a thirst to learn, want to be treated like adults. I think like something that I tell a lot of our folks that when they come in is like, when you've been in school, like you're the client ultimately, like, you know, people are there for your benefit to help you learn. And I think there's a mindset shift that happens when you leave school and come into the workforce, that it's no longer about you. It's really about like, how do you show up and be a team member that's supporting other folks on the team or clients or whoever. And so I think that's like really important. And I think it's like, we've had great experiences with folks at USC. I have to be honest, like we get great interns from USC. I think because there is a sense that's generally a sense, people who are hardworking. A thing that I think is probably universal for all internships, and we really believe this, is you have to put the time in. Someone who comes in and wants to do 4 or 5 hours a week on one day, you're just not going to get an experience that's going to be that relevant to you, where you're going to be able to learn something. So we want people who are going to commit at least 20 hours a week to coming and working. That's really important. And because I think you get more of that kind of, you just get a much more rich and robust experience in terms of what you're going to learn. You know, and I want folks, you know, we want folks who are really accountable, who come in and want to see themselves as valuable members of the team. And you're not, you know, they're not tourists in our business, but they're really active participants.
I like the term, not to be a tourist in an organization, but an active participant. We'll go to Greta next.
Yeah, so I think, you know, some of the characteristics that we look for in interns, which I think kind of ties in well to the soft skills element, we definitely, you know, the influencer marketing world, just in general, you know, the world of, you know, brand partnerships, et cetera, it's always changing. There's always something new coming in. So definitely, you know, staying on top of trends. Like we love interns that, you know, bring to us like new influencers, or it's maybe like a cool trend that they've seen on TikTok that maybe someone, you know, someone might have not seen or might have missed, or that could maybe lead to a cool campaign idea now that we're, you know, in strategy, or, you know, we're casting for something specific. So I think, you know, having those, you know, eyes and ears open. We're also in a city, you know, USC is in a city like LA. So there's so much going on like all the time. So really, you know, perceptive to that. You know, I also think like an eagerness to want to know, learn more, and like a flexibility. Like honestly, I can truly say like no 2 days are the same in my job, because there's like, you know, so many, we have, you know, obviously everyone has their, you know, own clients, but you know, things come in like, you know, asks, you know, things to research, like last minute campaigns, like, so, you know, really being able to like, you know, jump in like hands on and just really be able to help in a variety of different settings. So, you know, definitely that flexibility is super important. And I think from, you know, some of the hard skills, I think, you know, we've really found value in interns in the past that have been able to have some like, you know, reporting skills, like, you know, really, if we show you like insights from, you know, an influencer, being able to kind of like, obviously, you know, these are all things that we also like, you know, teach it. It's not like, you know, a required, like one of the main requirements that we wouldn't, you know, take someone for, but, you know, really being able to interpret data, also being able to have that creative thinking of thinking like, you know, this could be such a cool trend that we could bring to this brand, like really be having those like bigger vision towards like campaigns, and contributing really with ideas. Like we love hearing from interns and, you know, young people that are still in school all the time.
I'd love to tell a quick short story. You know, interns and people that come into our company, it's all about soft skills. It's all about energy and passion and enthusiasm and what you're bringing to the table in terms of your life experience. The hard skills you'll learn quickly. The story I wanted to tell is I remember being a junior, taking a heavy dose of like real estate evaluation, business law, and all these different classes. And I had a dinner with my mother and father and their best friend, who was a big developer on the East Coast who owned a bunch of different shopping centers. And I couldn't wait to discuss all the different classes that I was taking, because at the time I thought I wanted to get into that business. And he asked me, he said, "So what are you studying and what are you up to?" And I launched in, you know, and I was prepared to talk about all the different courses. And I can tell I lost him maybe 10 seconds into where I was going. And it was a little bit awkward, and he stopped. He goes, "Can I stop you for a second?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "You're a junior, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I can teach you everything that you're learning in school in the first 2 weeks on the job, candidly." He goes, "I want to know where have you been? What are you reading? You know, what movies have you seen? What, you know, who's your favorite baseball team? You know, who, if you could sit down for 20 minutes with anyone on the planet Earth, who would it be and why? And he sort of, you know, he took me into that direction, and I felt a little bit like a loser, candidly. I felt a little bit one-dimensional, and it all sort of changed for me at that moment. And I recognized that, you know, he wanted to meet a human being, and he wanted to get a sense of like who I am and where I could potentially go and where he could take me. And I completely recalibrated kind of it was a clocked moment in my life that I'll never forget. And when I sit down with people, and I'm sure, you know, Ian can go into more detail on this, you know, I ask those questions. You know, what countries have you been to, or where do you want to go? You know, which parts of our country have you been that's unique and maybe, you know, applicable to you and who you're about? You know, what book is open on your table, you know, by your bed, or what series are you getting into and why? And so, you know, that's why soft skills, at least in our business, are so important. Passion is universal, and it's a common denominator across the board, I think, for all of us. But you're going to learn what you're going to learn very quickly, and you're going to calibrate, you know, those hard skills into the soft skills that you bring to the table pretty quickly. And so, you know, I just wanted to share that perspective because it was very impactful for me.
Thank you, Danny. And I think from each of you, it's always interesting, like hearing, you know, that emphasis on soft skills, because, you know, you can't learn that from a textbook. You have to learn that from experiences, from trying new things, by getting involved, whether that's through an internship or volunteer work or anything else, because those are things you're going to learn on the spot, not just through school. So think about those things aside from just the hard skills. But we'll jump on over to Emily.
Yeah, Danny had just a great point that made me think of something that was really important to me in my kind of career trajectory. When I initially came on, especially in my last role with, it was Beverly Hills Sports Council, a full service baseball agency, I initially came on and was kind of like, okay, I just want to be like super professional. I don't really want anyone to like know my personality or like my experiences or anything like that. Like I just wanted to like go in, go to work with the clients, like be trusted to, you know, work with them. And that was my way of thinking that that's how I needed to earn trust. And it really wasn't until I spent more time with the president of the company, who's the head agent, as well as other agents, and they really got to know me, my personality. You know, I have a certain sense of humor. I shared more of my experiences, and all of that really, I think, amplified and made my trajectory even quicker than it would have been had I not done that, because they trusted me more. They knew more of my experience. They knew which clients they should pair me with more because we would, you know, relate or things like that. I think the biggest example is like, I got my first experience with baseball as a member of a boys and girls club, of my neighborhood boys and girls club, versus another member of our group who he had his first experience because he grew up in a neighborhood with baseball players, like professional baseball players. We have two very different experiences, but both of those are extremely valuable. And I think, you know, if there's both ends of that my counterpart could have been, you know, didn't want to share that information. I might not have wanted to share that information for me, but I think the more that you can be confident in your experiences and your unique values and attributes, like bring that to the table, even in your internship, because at the end of the day, like people want to work with people they like, people they trust. And yes, hard skills are important, but it's those soft skills that people want to work with people that they like. They also want to expose those people to their customers or to their clients. And so I know it's easier said than done, especially when you're young, but I can't stress enough just being your authentic self so that you find a place that really fits you and that you can thrive in.
Thank you, Emily. And it's a perfect segue to our next question, which is all about networking. So especially, I think, in a lot of your industries, having that community, people around you, people that trust you is really important. So do you have any tips or advice for our students when it comes to networking? Go ahead, Nathan.
I think there's a common misconception that you just have to get in front of people and meet them and things are going to work out. And I don't think that that's right. I think like first impressions are actually really important. You get one bite of the apple, and to kind of barge in like, you want to be thoughtful about the context you're meeting people in and make sure that your engagement is appropriate for that interaction. I get probably 500 cold emails every day, unfortunately, because my email address is on a lot of press releases in public. So I get all sorts of people emailing me, many people asking for jobs or looking for opportunities or things like that. Of the thousands that I've gotten, there's been probably a half dozen that have translated into meaningful opportunities for those folks. We have someone on our team who cold emailed me when we didn't have a job opening up, and I just was really impressed with the thoughtfulness of the email and the way that she had taken the time to understand who the company was, who I was, and was like, we hadn't posted a job yet, but I had in my head that we were hiring for this type of role, and I forwarded it along to our HR team. And so I think it's like, networking isn't just about getting in front of people, but it's being prepared so that when you do have those opportunities, that you're going to really hit it out of the park, and people are going to be impressed, and they're going to understand that you understand where they're coming from, and that you can add value to their team, or and then the other thing I just say is, I tell this to all of our team members, like, business is not a zero-sum game. You always want the other guy or girl or whoever is on the other side of your deal to feel like they got the better end of the deal. Like that's always my intention. And, if you make other people feel good around you and you do nice things for other people, it always comes back to you. I live by that. And that's how I've grown our firm, on the basis of that idea.
Yes, it's a two-way street. It needs to benefit both parties, definitely. So thank you for sharing. We'll go to Nidhi next.
Hey, thanks, Malika. Yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice around that, and I'm sure everyone you've heard a lot of different things, is when you think about networking also is reach out to folks when you actually don't need anything. And I know you all are in this, space right now where it's closer to the last semester before the summer. But reach out to folks when you don't need something. If you are, your Office of Student Affairs is setting up all these wonderful panels and workshops and things like that over the next several weeks. And some of you who are just starting the school and program and are still navigating, some things may really resonate. Like if you feel good about it when you're listening to one of us today, figure out a way to reach out to one of us in a genuine way and say, I'm not sure if this is the career path I want, but would love to connect. And I don't need an internship or a job for another year, right? But I want to learn more. And I think, you'll find with many of the panelists, if not all, in every panel that you listen to, we're here to give back. And so we're really, really happy to share our career paths and tips and trades. And it gives you that depth of time to really nurture relationships, whether it be with that first person or when you reach out to someone and you don't need anything, but you want to learn more about the organization or the role they're in. They're more apt to give you contacts for more people you can talk with. And then that's how your network continues to spread, right? And so that's my biggest piece of advice. And I know it's easier said than done, myself included. When I was a student, it was like, okay, I have to look for an internship, so I gotta reach out to everybody. But remember, at that moment, everyone is reaching out to all the same people. And so, we'll get the same emails from the same students. And so I just think if given the opportunity, which I think you all will have opportunity to do so, try to reach out to some folks when you actually don't need anything. And I think you'll see a lot of opportunities open up that way.
I just had one thing that I wanted to add also, just, kind of from a recruiter's perspective, because I do have a ton of informational interviews and a lot of conversations with students and recent graduates who are looking for internships, looking for their first jobs. And two things stand out to me. I mean, one being, obviously you want to be prepared to kind of tell your story and have something to say, if you're able to get somebody on the phone, or on a Zoom call. But I think important to make sure that you spend the majority of that time asking questions and listening to the responses, not just, purging your story and, kind of, and asking for a job or expecting something to come out of you just telling your story and then just, letting the conversation fall off a cliff. So I think, important to remember, it all comes down to authenticity and being genuinely curious and showing that you've done your homework. If you get somebody on the phone, ask questions, open-ended questions, and spend time listening so that you don't, when you hang up the phone, after 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you actually remember a bit about the conversation. Otherwise it can become a blur, frankly. And then the other point is, when it comes to networking, I think a common mistake that I see a lot of students make is that they try to reach directly to the top of the organization. They're trying to reach the chief executives, the partner level. That's great. That's fantastic if you're able to get some senior level executives on the phone. But don't hesitate also to try to make connections with your peers and people who are in positions that you're striving to take on, whether it's a former intern or somebody who is currently an assistant or somebody who's currently an entry-level employee at this company. Number one, odds are they're going to have more time in their schedule to be able to speak with you. And number two, they're going to be able to give you a much more realistic view as to what their experience was in getting that job and what their experience is in that job. So I think arguably it's more important and it's more valuable to have those conversations with people who are closer to the experience level as you than to just only care about reaching the person with their name on the door. So and LinkedIn is your friend in this case. I mean, there's no shortage of USC students and alumni who are employees or were employees at virtually every entertainment and media company that there is. So I would suggest if you're not sure where to start in terms of networking, seek out some alumni from USC who are working at these companies and earlier in their careers and try to get some time with them.
That's good advice.
Yeah, we'll jump ahead to Kim and then we'll open it up to Q&A for students. We'll probably be able to take about 2 questions. So keep writing in the Q&A or chat, but Kim, go ahead, give us some networking advice for students.
Yeah, it's great advice from the panelists. I just wanted to add that people are busy. And so rather than kind of going with your grabby energy about what am I going to get? Can I get a job? Is what are you going to give? And what are you going to offer? And I think that's really important when clients are soliciting collaborations or new businesses. I'm really advising them to say, how can you help that person? Because they have enough to do. And if you can remember that to that soft skills piece that has come up, that sets you apart from the pack. And also with respect to fit, like, does the organization or does the position within the organization that you're seeking, does that align with your values really? And you might not understand whether or not you want to have a career in a certain profession, but does what they stand for actually suit your soul? And I really try to look at businesses from that, forming partnerships from that love channel. Like, do I go in heart open? Does it make me feel good? And that's not a really traditional business mentality, traditional way of looking at things, but coming at it again from the creative perspective. When you're creative to creative and you align, like from a value perspective, I think what Nietzsche said about not needing something from them, that might be somebody that you can collaborate with later down the road. And so what you really want to do is just form a genuine, authentic connection with someone so that you are able to be in service and help them. It makes it, I often say, oh, you know what, I thought of this for you, because you actually know the person well enough to help them.
Thank you all so much. And I think networking is something that really intimidates a lot of our students, but I also want to just underscore that you all do this every day, making connections, being curious, learning from others, talking to your peers, your family, your professors. Those are things that you're doing to get to know others, and you're sharing your story, your insights. So don't think of it as a transaction, but instead you're building your community, learning from others so that you can then give that advice in the future to others. So we got a really great question. So it says, what's something you wish somebody would have told you before going into your industry? And we haven't heard from you, so I want to see if do you want to go ahead and jump in on this one?
Yeah, I can take that question. I think at least for me, I think I agree with what everyone else was saying. I think the biggest thing is kind of get your feet wet. I think the great thing about advertising is it uses both the left and right sides of the brain. So, it's both creative and analytical. So you kind of get the benefits of both of those. And then before, when I first started out as an intern, I thought I was kind of stuck to one specific role. But the great thing about my company is I was actually able to hop around and try different departments. The great thing about advertising is, you can be a graphic designer, you can be a copywriter, there's strategy, there's accounts. So it's great to kind of see which role that kind of best fits you and then kind of go from there.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else want to jump in? If not, we got another question, so I can even move to that one. And we only have about 3 minutes left, but this is a fun one. If you could describe what you do, where you work, I would say industry-wise, in one word, what would it be? What would that one word be to describe what you do?
Upside down.
Upside down.
I would say satisfying. It's a very satisfying environment to be where you're, handling people and their emotions and their livelihood, and at the same time putting something together in terms of like content that creates output that also impacts people's lives. And to be at the center of that and have so many different options and to be able to sort of channel what it is that I want to do and the people that I want to represent. I always say that coming up in this business that in a traditional business, maybe 80 to 90% of the time you do what you're told to do, and you get that 10% autonomy to be unique and bring something unique and enthusiastic to the process. And it's that 10 or 20% that usually separates you from the pack to advance. In our business, it's a flip. Maybe 10 or 20% of the time you're doing what you're told to do, and 80% of the time you get to bring that entrepreneurial spirit and energy to the job. And for that, it becomes very, very satisfying when you can deliver, because it's really coming from your heart and it's coming from a place of your own unique contribution. And so for me, it would be satisfying.
Ippy?
Yeah, for me, it would be almost a hyphenated word. I would say moving walkways. So if you picture this really, really busy airport with all these moving walkways, it's crazy. Like, it is crazy busy. You are being pulled in all different directions. So you'll be on one and then you'll be pulled onto another, and then you'll get information from another. But it's so exciting. It's so fun. It's so rewarding. And if you find you're a person that really enjoys that kind of fast-paced and being integrated into all different kinds of things, creative business, and things shift a lot, they shift in really exciting ways. And if you can pivot and shift with that and really help support the success of that, it's really, really exciting. So I would say moving walkways.
Perfect. And then we'll end with Greta before we close out the session.
Yeah, kind of like a little bit piggybacking off of what Niti just said, but I would say also very fast, and trends based. These would be two things. And so really, all about staying on top of trends. So I think, for if anyone interested in our internship was in general coming into this industry, that's something to really, really keep in mind, how fast and quickly changing it is all the time.
Yes, love it. But I cannot thank you all enough for being here. I know I learned a lot, our students learned a lot. And for all the questions that we didn't get to, these are great opportunities at our networking event to ask those questions, make connections, learn a lot about these amazing organizations and their industry. We have another I3 panel tomorrow on technology, startups, and internet. So you still have time to sign up for that. Just wishing you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and fight on.
Thank you.
Thanks.